The name Arthur comes from the Welsh language and means bear. The legendary king is known today primarily from the medieval literary tradition. Above all, from texts such as the Prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson or the Stories of the Kings of Britain by Sir Thomas Malory. In these stories, he embodies the ideal medieval warrior king. Arthur is usually depicted as a brave, strong, and honest leader who fights for justice and defends his kingdom against external enemies. His sword Excalibur makes him invincible in battle. Only one who is pure of heart can draw it from the stone. Merlin, the wizard, acts as Arthur's counselor. Arthur's knights, including the Knightly Order of the Round Table, embody Christian values such as charity, piety, and courage. The classic form of the story of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table was established in medieval French literature in the 12th century. From there, the tales spread to England, Italy, and Germany. Particularly well known are the stories of the Holy Grail, the search for the magical vessel used at the Last Supper, which is said to have been able to perform miracles, and of the knight who dared to look at the mysterious and beautiful Morgan Le Fay, Arthur's half-sister, and was petrified by her magic. Arthurian legends were particularly popular in the Renaissance. For example, they inspired the Italian painter and sculptor Andrea del Sarto. Around 1535, he created an altarpiece showing King Arthur and his knights gathering around the Grail. However, the themes from the legends of King Arthur also found their way into operas, ballets, films, and novels far beyond the confines of the Catholic Church. Richard Wagner's opera Parsifal is based on the Arthurian legend of the Grail. Whether the British king really existed, however, is uncertain. A certain Arthur, possibly spelled differently, is named in a number of inscriptions on ancient stone monuments in Wales. In addition, the Annales Cambria mention the death of a King Arthur in the year 502. This is the earliest written record that mentions Arthur in connection with the war against the Saxons. Other sources mention nothing of the kind. Moreover, the Annales Cambria are full of anachronisms and legendary material. How much truth there is to the stories of the kings of Britain is therefore questionable. Perhaps there were several British kings named Arthur who fought against the Anglo-Saxons. Over time, these individual figures may have merged into a single legendary hero. The historian N.J. Hyam believes that Arthur was indeed a real historical figure. According to this, he was a Romano-British military leader who lived in the middle of the 5th century and whose name means bear in the language of the Britons. He led the British coalition forces against the Angles, Jutes, and Saxons. In fact, there was a battle in which he defeated the Saxons near the river Badon. There is no evidence that he was king of all Britain. Rather, according to Hyam, the title Rex Britanni, King of the Britons, seems to have been a purely honorary title. The statement in the contemporary Welsh poem Why Gadadin that Arthur was the leader of the nobles, Cad Gadin, probably means that he was a kind of military chieftain. In any case, Arthur must have died before 537, since after that year, the Anglo-Saxons advanced along the coast and conquered Kent. Further inland, the Britons withdrew behind the river Severn. Ultimately, however, we cannot say whether the legendary King Arthur actually existed. What is certain is that the memory of a warrior king who defended his people against the invaders played a central role in medieval European literature. If you want to know more about the origins of the legendary King Arthur, you can click on the top right. To do this, you don't have to register or log in. You can simply click on the link in the info bar. There you will find numerous historical documents, maps, and other sources, some of which are very old. The portal is supported by a large online library and various cultural institutions such as the British Library. By clicking on the card, you can support the project. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. Here you will find many more videos on the history of Europe and other topics. Thank you for watching. Bye.